Hello, everybody. I have a special lady here in studio with me, and that is the one and only talented Jane Lockhart. Well, you know her because she's an author. Of course, you see her everywhere, just from her whole, design. She's featured on most television programs, and we're talking about tips and tricks and how we can better our lives with color and design. But she's also a host of a show that I am a huge fan of, and that's Color Confidential. You can see that on Wednesdays at 6:30 on the W Network. But there's also other shows that there's reruns and things that you've done that I remember when you started, and I just think, wow, because that was a great show, really ahead of its time.
Yes.
So remind everybody what show I'm talking about.
I think you're talking about One House, Two Looks.
I am indeed. Genius. You really
you.
got to see you and your co-host.
Yes.
And what was the gentleman's name?
Jason Cass.
Yeah. So the two of you, same homes, but you two would come up with completely different looks.
Yes.
How much fun was that?
It really was fun. And I think it probably is a very good, I think you're right. It probably was ahead of its time because it really shows people how much you can take any space and make it your own based on color and or style. That it doesn't matter what you buy. Ultimately, I don't mean that in the real estate context, but I mean that whatever you get, you can always make it good.
You can make it better.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong. And if you stick with what you like, right? I mean, honestly, you gotta love it. And there's no order of how to do things, is there, Jane? I mean, I know people will say, well, you got to paint first, or you should paint the walls and then work around what paint you choose. But that's not necessarily the case. You can actually go shopping and find items that you fall in love with.
Yes.
And then leave the walls until you kind of know where you're going. Is that okay too?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's best to start with the most expensive thing so that you kind of know what you're committing to, and then everything else works with it or around it. But ultimately, if you find a scarf and it's got the right colors in it and that's the way you want to go, and it has nothing to do with home decor, but you love it, there's no reason why that can't be your inspiration.
So, Jane, should we not almost treat our design and the way we handle our homes almost the same as how we take care of ourselves in terms of dressing? I mean, we put so much time and attention into making sure when we get out that door that we have a persona, we have a look, and something that we got to feel good about. Because if we don't walk the same way, we don't talk the same way, we don't have the confidence that we normally do. Sometimes we go a little bit beyond and we stretch those borders, and, we might wear things that we should or should not at our time of life or what have you. But that's fashion. I mean, you're allowed to be a little edgy and try. Why not? But can the same apply to our homes?
Yes, I have actually given this a lot of thought. And in a lot of ways, for people, what I've noticed as a trend is their home is a lot about who they are authentically, not about what they put forward. Fashion is about creating, you kind of said it, is about creating an image outside of home, and you identify with it. It's one facet of you.
It's true, because what we wear inside our home compared to outside
is totally it is totally different. And I think that one of the big things about home is being able to create a space that, yes, you can show your friends and be proud of, but also it allows you to be who you really are. And I think that's what's missing from so much discussion about home today. Obviously I watch television and I read magazines, and I feel that sometimes that ability to be authentic is missing. It's all about the trends, or it's about what you should have. And in a lot of cases, I think people seek out designers or decorators because what they're really trying to do, and they just can't articulate it, is find themselves in their own spaces. And I think that's a really important thing to note when you are doing design and that may be an out there paint color, no problem. It's just that it has to ring true for you.
So you save them a lot of time and energy because you're helping them to understand really what fits for them.
For them.
And you have access to all these things, that this is what you do day in and day out.
Yeah, and it's our job to do that. Again, I think people's impression of a designer is that they spend a lot of money, which we can, but that's under your directive.
Right.
But that our job is purely aesthetic. That is absolutely an aspect of it. Function is an aspect of it. But I think the largely overlooked part is the anthropological part of it, the social science part of understanding how you live so that your things that you're purchasing match your lifestyle.
Which people don't realize at the end of the day saves a lot of time.
Yes.
And the most expensive commodity out there is your time.
Yes.
And therefore you're saving also a lot of money. And I think we need to touch upon that because, of course, we know the benefits. Anybody in the real estate world, of course, understands the benefit of having a designer, because you know that if your client is contemplating two homes, not sure as to which one, you can bring a designer in and help truly identify what can happen in each. And therefore you could take that kind of calculator in your head and guesstimate and get to a pretty good idea as to which is the wiser choice that will suit your lifestyle, that you may not be able to do on your own, or you may make the choice that's not the best. So this is something that people need to understand and they also have this, I guess, misconception, Jane, that it's so beyond their reach, it's so expensive to hire a designer. And I'm constantly correcting people saying, everybody can have a designer.
Yeah, designers today are really partners in building your roster of people that service your home. And that's not to downplay their significance in understanding different aspects of aesthetics, which is a different category. But, I always say to someone, you do have a Rolodex of people that you call when there's a problem with your home. You have a plumber, you have an electrician, or you have a general contractor, or you have a carpet installer. You should also have a designer who is kind of like your concierge service in that they understand who you are and how to connect you with the right trades. That's kind of how we see ourselves in our own business. Is we have lots of different guys who do different things, but we also pay attention to who's going to be a better fit personality-wise and or job-wise.
So which person that lays floors would be ideal? Why you should use this floor company?
Based on who you really are. I'm a high-maintenance, high-anxiety person, so there are certain people that do not fit my personality well.
Okay, I'm not buying it because I can't see anybody not fitting Jane Lockhart. No, I'm sorry, but I'm totally not buying
certain
that.
things. And then there's other things I'm very laid back on, and I'm like, don't care. So depending on, for me, those kind of people, I have to have the right fit of the right person in my house. Because believe me, when they're in your house, you want to kill them if they don't get out of your face, right? So you need to have someone that you like. Yeah. And when you are hiring a contractor, you're marrying them.
Pretty much.
Because you're going to keep calling them. So you got to have the right people in your Rolodex so you know what's coming. And that's where designers are a huge service, despite what you may think about cost. You can buy whatever you want. They're just going to give you advice on how and what to buy.
But again, more importantly, because of your access to these trades, because of your access to these different products and services, and even when we're talking about those accents at the end, you know where to go, you know how to shop, you know how to get the best prices, because your job ultimately is to get your clients. So not only are they happy with their space, but they're happy with the end results, but they've had a fantastic experience.
Yes.
So you have their pocketbook in mind, do you not?
Yes, because designers get their equity from finished jobs. That's what it comes from. If your job is not finished, there's no value to us and no value to the homeowner.
There you go.
And to the real estate agent and whoever else is looking at the product. So our job is to get it finished.
Very good. All right. Well, now we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to come back and talk a little bit about builders and upgrades. I think there's a poignant kind of discussion there. And we're also going to talk about some innovation because you've seen a lot of great things that you're going to share with us that's coming in the forefront. So remember, everybody, if you have questions for Jane Lockhart, you want to reach out to realestatetalkshow.ca, or you can call our help desk anytime. That's 844-ASK-RETS. That's 844-ASK-RETS. And yes, it's toll free. We'll be right back.